The nation's industrial production today was reported down 0.5% in August, the 11th decline during the past 13 months, and yet another sign of weakness in this nation's economic recovery. Today's numbers are the last thing anyone here in western Pennsylvania wanted to hear. This is steel country, with dozens of communities dependent on the steel industry for their very survival. But as Dan Courts reports, the steel industry itself, at least as we know it today, may not survive.
In 1973, just 9 years ago, the steel industry was booming. American mills poured a record 151 million tons of steel and employed 509,000 workers. Today, those same mills are operating at only 40% of capacity, and this year they'll produce just 80 million tons of steel. Unemployment among steel workers is 40%, and only 275,000 of them still have jobs. What went wrong?
It's partly a case of an industry having been successful for a long time and therefore getting somewhat insensitive to its market and technology environment.
The big companies were slow to modernize their plants, so efficiency lagged. Today, it takes 10% more man-hours of labor to turn out a ton of steel in American mills than it does in Japan. At the same time, steel worker pay has shot up, much faster than the rate of inflation. The average American steel worker now makes $17 an hour in cash wages, plus another $7 an hour in fringe benefits. By comparison, Japanese steel workers earn the equivalent of just $14 an hour, including fringes.
It's not simply a union asking for higher pay, it's a management giving the higher pay.
And in recent years, countries around the globe have built so many steel mills that production outside the U.S. this year will total 800 million tons, 10 times our output and far above worldwide demand. To keep their steel workers employed, many foreign governments are subsidizing their producers and shipping the surplus steel overseas, much of it to the U.S. So far this year, foreign steel has grabbed more than 20% of the American market. Now, at the insistence of U.S. companies, the administration is reluctantly taking steps to impose punitive duties on foreign steel that's dumped here. Experts warn, though, that it'll take a lot more than that to restore prosperity to the industry. In fact, they say, even when the economy recovers, steel faces a long, lingering illness, and thousands of laid-off steel workers will never return to the mills. Dan Courts, ABC News, Pittsburgh.
Hard times for the steel industry have become devastating times for America's steel towns, such as here, 20 miles northwest of Pittsburgh in Aliquippa, Pennsylvania, a town born and bred by steel. For 75 years, the Jones and Laughlin steel plant was Aliquippa. The company's plant, 4.5 miles of it, still dominates the town, but most of the jobs are gone, and the town may be dying. 10 years ago, 12,000 people worked here, and the plant produced 3 million tons of steel a year. 8,300 of those jobs have now disappeared, and production has dropped 43% to 1.7 million tons. And the legacy of 3 generations may come to nothing. Frank Parisi came to this country in 1920 and worked 35 years for J&L. His son Ralph followed and spent 28 years in the same plant. His grandson Anthony became a steel worker there in 1977. Last March, Anthony Parisi was laid off.
It tears you up inside because you don't know, what the future holds for you, and it does. It really scares you, and I don't know. We just sit by and hope.
A lot of people in Aliquippa are waiting, holding on. Others are not. 22,000 people lived here in 1970. 5,000 have now left. A 23% population drop. And when people start leaving a town like Aliquippa, they take more than their personal belongings. They take part of the reason for the town's existence with them. 15 years ago, there were 291 stores and restaurants in Aliquippa. Annual retail sales totaled $42.5 million. More than a third of those businesses are now boarded up, perhaps forever, and annual retail sales in Aliquippa, adjusted for inflation, have dropped more than $34 million. The one place you do find a lot of people in Aliquippa these days is inside the Steelworkers Union Hall. Unemployed members come here to sign up for benefits, including food coupons paid for with donations by union members still working. It's a self-help idea that started here in July, and so far $80,000 has been raised. It helps, but it's not enough.
We still have that spirit of helping each other, as you see by our food fund. The spirit is still there, but I'm afraid that you're seeing a death of a town.
In the past, when people in Aliquippa needed help, they could turn to the town's employer, a steel company. J&L provided company-built housing, and in more recent years, the company helped build a town hospital and made an outright gift of a town ballpark. But like everything else in Aliquippa, things have changed.
We do take great pride in the way people have worked in the plant for generations, but it doesn't necessarily follow that because that's been so in the past, that it will automatically and certainly and always be available in the future.
Tomorrow, J&L and the union will co-sponsor a seminar for their people in Aliquippa on dealing with the pressures of unemployment. Dealing with the causes of unemployment, well, that's quite another matter. But there are hardly any simple solutions for saving America's steel towns.